Tanya, while you're waiting for some people to join, I'll just take an opportunity to publicly thank Judith for spearheading this.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Stacy.
Good.
Hi.
Good day.
And you may have to do a group mute, Tanya, just to get started.
Yeah.
Just gonna send her a message, a private message.
Good morning. Or
Morning.
good afternoon, rather.
Yes.
It's still morning for me. You got your coffee?
Oh. You guys can unmute again. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I was just saying, Judith,
Yeah.
I just want to thank you so very much for spearheading this. And I'm super excited. And I just think it was so needed to have a Canadian, place where we can go, a safe place, and where there's other residential cleaners that are in our corner. Myself and Judith had a conversation this morning at like an ungodly time in Calgary and like late morning here. And, she obviously, wanted to make, like she said, basically the high tide raises all the ships. And she feels a lot of people kind of think that they have trade secrets they want to keep to themselves. And therefore other people are not able to execute things. And they spend years trying to figure out simple things that some of us already know. And I'm so happy that she decided to spearhead this within the committee. Thank you, Judith. I'm really grateful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. I'm just going to give it a couple, another minute because there's still people joining online, and then we'll get right into it.
You want the entire home cleaned, correct? No one's left out any?
Okay. Ooh, okay. All right. We'll get started, okay? So good morning, everybody, to everybody out west. Good morning to everybody in the east. Good afternoon. Welcome to the ISSA Canada Residential Cleaning Committee Coffee Talk Forum. My name's Tanya Nowotny. I am the Director of Marketing and Communications for ISSA Canada, and I will be your moderator for today's event. Just going to provide you with a little bit of background. ISSA formed a residential cleaning committee in June 2019 in an effort to better understand the needs of our residential cleaners in Canada. So our committee consists of 5 representatives that provide insight to us from across Canada. So our committee members include, and if those on our call today could wave, that would be awesome. It's Judith Farag, owner of Clean Club Calgary in Calgary, Alberta. Joanna Palumbo, owner of Signature Cleaning Services in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Patrick Martel, co-founder and CEO of Made for Condos in Toronto. And David Wooder, president of Pure and Simple Cleaning Solutions in Mississauga, Ontario. And last but not least, Mark Baker, CEO of Motivated Maids in Paradise, Newfoundland. Hi, Mark. ISSA Canada and the Residential Cleaning Committee created this Coffee Talk Forum to offer our residential cleaners a platform to ask questions relevant to the Canadian market, share their challenges, and hopefully glean some valuable information to be successful in the residential space. Since this forum is guest driven, I do encourage all of you to include any questions or comments in the chat area, and I'll be monitoring this as we proceed. And if you would all kindly just please mute your microphones at this time just to minimize the background noise. That would be awesome. Thank you. So right now, I'm going to turn it over to our residential cleaning committee. We have Judith, Patrick, Mark. Take it away, guys.
I'll start it. Um, so I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Judith, and I own Clean Cup Calgary. And we have formed the Residential Cleaning Council kind of a year and a half ago. And Michelle, if you could mute yourself, that would be great. There's a bit of feedback. So we have been meeting quite regularly, and we had last year the ISSA show. And the ISSA show did such a great job of doing coffee talk. And it was very unscripted, and we would just get together every morning and, you know, we would just start talking. You know, somebody would throw up a question, and then sometimes there would be a whole discussion about that, or sometimes we would do different topics. So the idea here is for you to come with some questions, and then maybe we can help you out with some answers, or we can give you some resources. We can talk about experience. The committee here has a vast of experience. So we're able to give you guys some good ideas. I know I myself have already learned so much from Patrick, for example, because I started to look into an online calculator and quoting system to my website. And he had given me some ideas, and he had shared what he does. And that was very beneficial to me. So if I can maybe just, if anybody has any questions or would like to, you know, is struggling with something, maybe if you would just want to either put it into the chat box or just unmute yourself and just maybe ask the question. And then between the committee, we can answer some of your questions.
I would actually like to ask Mark to talk about your snow policy. I think, you know, as a person that walks every day and landed on my arse this morning, slipping on the ice, what is your snow policy, Mark? Is that something that residential cleaners, is that something that you write into your policies? Unmute. Unmute, please.
Okay, there you go. You had control of the mute. Hi, everybody. I'm Mark Baker, and I'm in Paradise, Newfoundland, Labrador, which is next to St. John's, our capital. And I am the president of Motivated Maids Inc. and now Motivated Brands Inc., a national company in the house cleaning industry. And it's really great to see everybody here today. So as Judith had mentioned, you know, please, any questions you have, we may not have the answers, but we definitely want to provide a safe place where we can all ask questions, collaborate, and get answers. Truthfully, there's very few trade secrets in the house cleaning industry. A lot of people just don't know yet. Maybe they haven't had an opportunity to network or travel to some of the North American shows with the ISSA. And everybody on the Residential Cleaners Committee is committed to making sure that we all grow and get past our struggles. And we don't want anyone to encounter the same struggles we encountered if they simply just need to ask a question. So feel free to collaborate with us as well. But with that said, Tanya, snow policy. So it's a big deal here. Last year we had Snowmageddon. We had 93 centimeters fall in 24 hours. It was a national state of emergency. We were shut down for 8 days. Cost our company almost $60,000 in lost revenue. It wasn't good. But snow policy was the bane of my existence, especially in the early days. You know, when I was mixing chemicals in my house and having cleaning pros come to my front porch to get, you know, dispatch and keys and, you know, working out of my basement back in those days. I mean, if someone was to, you know, not come to work because there's a little bit of snow, man, that was tough. You know, the other issue is weathertainment. So weather has become an entertainment factor. So especially here in Newfoundland, where we're known to have very unpredictable weather, what would happen is a lot of the local newscasters would say, now there's 17 different possible models that can happen. And if this model happens, it's going to be hell. right? Meanwhile, most likely we're going to get 2 centimeters. And of course, Mary hears that from Bob, who passes it to Paul. And it's kind of like that, game of telephone back when you were in kindergarten where someone whispers something to the next person. And by the time it comes around, and what was happening is that, people were just planning not to come to work. So one of the things we did, and I have a memo that I'm happy to share, just add me, Mark Baker, on Facebook. You'll see a picture of me and my family there. You'll know it's me. And I'll share with you the memo that we have, which you can share with people via email and whatnot. So basically what we did is we had to educate people on weathertainment. We had to educate people on the fact that news companies make money through advertisement, and they need eyeballs watching or listening. And they do that by dramatizing the weather. And you had to remove all of the drama. So we use an app from Environment Canada, and that's the only app we use. It's the only weather we listen to. If you happen to be in a region, say like St. John's, Newfoundland, well, we have what's called our Metro bus. That's our public transportation. They're professional drivers. People are dependent on those Metro buses to get to hospitals, schools, employment, you name it. They don't take shutting down to be a light thing, right? Now, it just so happens they're tied into the federal government, and the federal government in Newfoundland decides to shut down if the Metro bus is shut down. So for us, it became pretty easy. If the Metro buses are running, we're running. If they have a delayed opening, we have a delayed opening. The real issue is that the school system here, which is run by unions, they shut down on, it's glorious out there now, they shut down today. And of course that means that the children of your customers may be home, which means your customers may be inclined to want to cancel because the children are home because they don't have childcare, so they may stay home. Well, then that gets into your cancellation policy. So basically, having a great database of your customers, having your pre-written emails, monitoring the weather regularly, and sending out in advance as friendly reminders to your professional house cleaners and to your customers that, hey, there's impending weather. We don't close unless the Metrobus closes, or whatever it is in Calgary or Montreal or whatever the case might be. And we go a little further and we prepared a course saying, hey, you're a professional, which means that if you're going to have to shovel tomorrow morning for an extra hour, guess what? If you go to bed at 10, you better plan on going to bed at 9 or sleeping an hour less, because as a responsible professional, you need to get up and to be ready to go to work, right? So for us, our policy is quite simple: to make sure that we clearly articulate to people during the onboarding process, and even have them sign a form saying they're aware of the the snow policy, to tie it into something that makes sense so it's not arbitrary, right? Don't reinvent your business every day. So if you have to make a judgment call yourself, that's not good, right? You have to have strong leadership, which means here's our policy. It's black and white. I'm going to set a policy. I'm going to stick to it. Letting your customers and your cleaning pros know when there's impending weather as a friendly reminder what the policy is, so that they'll follow it. And that's been really good for us. Now, one of the biggest changes that we made in closing is, of course, as we became a better and better place to work, we started attracting, better and better people. And what's interesting is we had a shutdown in this city yesterday, and not one single cleaning pro decided to stay home.
That's
And
awesome.
because it is awesome. And because we've been able to attract such great people, we've gotten to the point where we now have been able to pass it to them, where they can say, hey, I'm going to make a judgment call. So in the early days, we were desperate for business, and we're not taking business for granted now, but every clean mattered. And of course, I would pick people up in a 4x4 and go clean it myself, whatever it took, right? But what would happen is that I would overpromise to the customer. And then as we grew, my people would overpromise to the customer apologetically. We're so sorry. We know that, you really need your house cleaned for that christening tonight, but there's snow and the cleaner's car doesn't have great tires, or whatever we would say. And by portraying that apologeticness unnecessarily, when there was no apology needed, their expectations changed and they became unhappy when we'd let them down due to snow. But by being clear and articulating it in the policy, we'd let them know. We just want to let you know today that we are closed due to
Yeah.
snow. You know, Mark or Mary or Bill will not be there today. We'd be
So
very
Mark,
happy to
snow
schedule it.
clearing's not part of your policy then?
Well, one of the things we do have is that we do have a policy for our customers. Now, our customers are required to have the driveway cleared as well. There must be
Okay.
a parking spot for, if you're Center City, Toronto, well, parking is different, but, in
Yeah.
different types of cities.
Okay,
They're also responsible to have it sanded, it's salted.
okay,
And our cleaning pros will not go into the driveway or walk on anything that's not salted. But we'll notify them, and we
Okay.
treat it the same as a lockout policy. We have a lockout policy. We stay in front of the house for 30 minutes. We stay within 10 minutes for 2.5 hours.
okay,
And if we haven't gotten into that house by then, we're going to bill you the full estimated cost of the clean and move on with our day. Now, same thing when it comes to that. Now, we also have providers locally. So if a customer says, oh my goodness, I'm out of town and I didn't think about that. Well, that's okay because we partner with so-and-so snow blowing and they're happy to come over. The
Yeah.
bill they charge is $75. Of course, we add on 25%. We'll bill your card for it and so on and so forth. And we have people available because, hey, everyone wants to make money and they appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a question. One of our guests is a natural cleaning company, and they're looking into being certified green. Do you guys have any suggestions on how to accomplish this? Have you guys accomplished this? Mark, Judith, Patrick?
We used to, and we moved away from it. But I will say, check out Avmore as a company. They are in Montreal based, and they make amazing cleaning products that are Eco Logo certified. You definitely want to find something that's Eco Logo certified as non-toxic. And the reality is most of the non-toxic products that they have are peroxide based. We could make a bottle of multi-purpose peroxide based non-toxic Eco Logo certified cleaner for 10 cents a bottle. It's and just get a dilution machine, which costs nothing. They'll provide it you for free. So if you're supplying the cleaning products yourself, you want to look into Avmore brand, Eco Logo certified, Oxy Mix, because that stuff is good and it's cheap.
Now, just for some clarification regarding the question, are you talking about becoming a green certified company, or are you just talking about product? Maybe you could clarify. That would be great. And there's,
Tanya, I have also added a link from the ISSA website.
perfect.
They have a green certification program, and they can look into that if they want to get certified as a company.
Okay.
And the ISSA, both the ISSA American website and the Canadian website is actually a great resource for a lot of questions or a lot of things that you might be wondering about.
There's another comment here. Yes, this forum is for residential cleaners, but Patrick Martel is actually specializes in condominium cleaning, John. So I'm hoping that helps with your question. If you have specific questions to that, multi-unit residential, Patrick is our specialist on that end. So if you have any questions on that side, go ahead. Hiring is always a struggle. How do you guys tackle that?
I can talk to that a little bit, and then maybe Patrick can jump in a little bit as well. This is a very common question. So I am assuming that there's some people who are solo cleaners here, and maybe they are growing their business and you're looking to hire. So that is a perfect spot. So if I could look back and when I did that and somebody would have given me this advice, it would have saved me so much heartache and headache. But what I can say about hiring is hire for values. So now what that means, right? What that means is you need to figure out who you are and what's important to you. For me, what's important is loyalty. for me, what's important, somebody's a team player. So under team player, a lot of things fall, that they are responsible, they are reliable, they are helpful. These are some of my core values. And respect is a really big one for me. And because we are in this industry, trust must be in there somewhere. Because the biggest trust factor is when somebody hands you their keys to their home. That's the biggest trust factor. So once you figure out what your values are, what we do at Clean Club Calgary is we have developed an ad, and it has scattered the values all over it. So when somebody is looking for work and they're reading our ad, it speaks to them. So they read it and they're like, yeah, that's me, that's me, that's me. So right away, I am trying to wean and attract in people that are close to how we are, what our core values are. And then once we get them in for an interview, there's a saying, hire slow, fire fast. So when we get them into the actual meeting, then, we spend a good hour with them, and then we get them to talk about themselves. An interview is a place where you do not talk. You just tell them what the job is, and you just sit back and observe and listen. And that's when you can make an educated decision. Now, yes, there's a lot of duds out there. People don't show up for interviews. That's my biggest pet peeve, when people waste my time. But it's unfortunately in the cards. So, there is diamonds out there. There's tons of diamonds out there. Yes, I understand that right now.
Private caller.
Tracy.
Sorry, guys.
So I totally get that, it might be a frustrating process, but once you start to figure out who you are and what you want to attract, it's just going to be so much easier. And you might ask, why is that important? The easiest way I can explain that, when there is a discussion or maybe there is some misunderstanding, is just an easier discussion with that person. So, like, for example, they're going to be open to training, and then you're just going to say, no, this is not the way I want it. And I'll explain it to you. This is the way I want it because. And then they're trainable and they're going to understand. So these discussions are just going to be easier. So that's my tidbit on it. So maybe Patrick, you might have some good advice on or good ideas on hiring.
Yeah, Judith, thank you very much. And I agree with everything you're saying, right? In a nutshell, the overarching strategies that we use as a business and we found successful is, there's three pillars: attracting, retaining, and then, compensating well. So Judith, you mentioned attraction. So attracting, we use core values ads as well for all of our jobs. So it's very essential. You might think, well, why would I tell, or why would I advertise the core values that are important to our business? Is because we make it very explicit that, if you're not happy-go-lucky, if you don't whistle while you work, if you don't believe that telling the truth is more important than a white lie, if you don't believe in teamwork and helping out your team before you think about yourself, if you don't believe about those things, we don't even want you to apply for the job. And that is the core values based kind of employment ads that we put out there and job descriptions. And you want those conversations to start off from the get-go. So from your ad to your first phone interview to your group interviews or your individual interviews, they should all be core values based on what your core values of your business are. And that way, again, it'll weed out the ones that don't align with those core values, and it'll help you keep the team that all have the same kind of interests and same things in mind. So a core values thing is an exercise that one should consider doing. It is an exercise that's not just a couple hours. I would suggest that it is a relatively sizable exercise that you really want to identify what jives for your company, what's important to your clients, and what's important to your team, and then evaluate your team based on that.
Patrick, can you give us an example how you do that core values exercise?
So the core values exercise, you want to look at what your customer profiles are. You want to look at what's important to you as a business owner. You want to look at what's important to your team by doing surveys and truly understanding what's important to them. But really, I think taking a look at your overarching business, your niche, and kind of doing the whole exercise of understanding your business. And through that, you uncover what you find is important, what sets you apart in the marketplace, what your advertising and marketing goals are in terms of what you feel are important to your clients. So to align all of those things together is great. I mean, you know, some people might think, well, a core value of ours is, well, making money. Well, you know, one person can say, well, making money doesn't make sense because I don't want to tell my staff that making money is a core value. We actually have making money as a core value because at the end of the day, it's an elephant in the room. Staff are here to make money, and we are here to make money. And as long as you use making money in your decision factors when you're out there and you come up to a challenge during the workplace, if you think, well, am I telling the truth? Am I being real? Am I being honest? And am I making money for the business and for myself? And if you answer yes to all those questions going through the core values, you can determine how you answer or come up with solutions to a challenge. So
Patrick, sorry to interject. So what I also wanted to ask is, when you get that candidate in, how do you determine what exercise you have them do to determine what their core values are? So are they going to be a fit for you?
That's a great question. So, you know, with interview techniques, you can ask specific questions like problem solving abilities, how they would react if a coworker would steal, how they would react when a coworker needs help and they're in a different place and it's inconvenient for you. So we have a very elaborate series of questions that we ask during interviews, both on the phone and in person, to gauge how they would react. And all of them have the background interest of identifying how they react to our core values. And in the same thing, like with we have a couple different formats that we use for our job descriptions and job postings. One of which is, you know, if you change jobs more than your underwear, don't apply for this job. We don't want you. If you know, and it's very explicit. If you are this, you're good. If you don't like this stuff, you're not good. Don't apply for this job. It's not for you. Don't waste your time or ours. Then we have other job descriptions that are a little bit more formal that, you know, go after a different crowd, right? So keeping your objectives and your core values at the forefront of all your conversations with candidates will go a long way.
That's great.
And I'd like to speak to that as well. And thank you, Patrick. I've known Patrick for several months through this committee, but it's the first time I had a chance to speak at length. And as I suspected, he's very smart. So it was great to listen to you speak because I learned something for sure. So guys, gals, here's the reality. If you can solve the hiring issue, you become rich. It's that simple. The number one issue in the cleaning industry is hiring. Now, we happen to be in Canada. Canada is an amazing country. Canada has a great social safety net. Canada in general, outside of regional disparities, has a great employment rate. So the reality is that in Canada, people aren't going to stay at jobs that they don't have cause to for very long. Well, okay, so first thing I want to say, and make no mistake, our last job ad had 7,000 applicants, just to let you know. And we gave up interviewing. So like we're good at getting applicants and we're good at getting people. The first thing is embrace the turnover. Now look at McDonald's. McDonald's has a 400% turnover rate, and they're even going to remember to forget your straw, whether it's in Calgary, Montreal, or St. John's. You know, they can consistently produce a predictable and favorable result time and time again, even though they turn staff over so much. So embrace the turnover, okay? Don't blame the workforce. You choose from the same workforce as me and Judith and Patrick and Joe Cadeau and Melanie and Stacy and Gord, all the people on this. We all have the same workforce to choose from, okay? So if you start taking the attitude, oh, you know, man, if I could just get good cleaners, and cleaners are the problem, and man, they're not responsible nowadays. And those millennials don't even think like it, okay? If you want to join that group of people who do that, have fun, because that's not a place winners go, okay? Now, ultimately, yes, you want to attract good quality people that have an aptitude for the profession, that, as Patrick said, tend to stay at their professions for longer, who want to work. We get that, right? Okay, so now it goes back to what Judith and Patrick are saying is know what your company is and know what your company offers. Work to build a company that you yourself would like to work with. Okay, so would you work for yourself? Would you work for your company? Build a company that is very financially lean. Okay, don't waste money. So that way you can afford, while still making a reasonable profit for your work, afford to pay living wages. That's something Patrick mentioned. Patrick works very hard to make sure that he can remunerate his people better than other people. But of course, money isn't everything. It's actually like fourth place on surveys. So here's what I would say. Don't blame them, embrace the turnover. Don't hire out of desperation. We've all been there, okay? You hire out of desperation. You are better off contacting your customer, saying, Mr. or Mrs. Smith, unfortunately, we no longer have a provider available who could serve your needs. We're very sorry. When we have a provider that can serve your needs, we'll reach out to you and let you know. Now, in the meantime, I want to tell you about a great company that also operates in Calgary called Clean Club Calgary. And they may have capacity right now, and they'll be very happy to meet your needs. Mr. and Mrs. Smith love your brand. They love your honesty. And you know something? Your competitor, who's also your colleague, will appreciate it as well. And she will reciprocate when she's in the situation. Now, the next thing I say is you want to be able to develop a system that can attract, train, and retain people quickly and inexpensively, like a McDonald's, okay? Then you
So
want to
what
embrace.
what does that training process time look like, Mark?
We can turn around someone from the application process to the time they're in the field, trained and working. We can do that in a 4-day period. But
Okay.
the thing is that you want to be able to do that financially efficiently, okay? Now, then you want to analyze, and then what you want to do next is you want to try to work to improve the causes. So it boils down to accepting responsibility. So when someone exits, don't say they exited because that person just loves to call in sick all the time. That person doesn't want to work. May or may not be true. But what I can guarantee you is that I'm the one who hired that person. I'm the one providing the employment opportunity. And what can I do to improve this situation? Because all I can control is me, not the market out there, not the people that are available. So a couple of quick more tips. One, Judith, yes, I feel your pain when it comes to no-shows, right? So what we do, when we used to do in-person interviews, now everything is remote with us. But I will say that we would book 20 people, knowing we'd only get 4. Group interviews are a beautiful thing. Do a group interview. That way, when all 20 book, guess what? 80% ghosting rate. Well, embrace that too, because you ain't going to change it. That's the way it works nowadays. They're ghosting you for a reason. 2, you can skip interviews. We don't interview at all. We put them through a series of hoops they have to jump through, including putting them into our online training before they're even officially hired. And a lot of them will wash out during various periods. And that way, the people who are left standing have proven they have a clear criminal background, they have an aptitude, and guess what? We had biases. We had more men, different ethnicities working for us than we ever had working in our network, because we stopped interviewing, and we had bias. Because if John is 6'1" and he has tattoos on his knuckles, you know something? John may be a fantastic person who has an aptitude for cleaning and jump through all the hoops and wants to feed his family and will be the best you ever had. But unfortunately, you judged him by his ear spacers or his haircut. We physically don't know what our people look like until after they're hired, and we don't know their gender either. And we have a single-digit retention rate right now. 8% is our turnover rate. So those are some things that I want to throw out there. And again, feel free to reach out to me through Facebook if you got specific questions on things you can do.
Thank you, Mark. So we have a question about third-party cleaning inspections and hygiene testing. Do you guys work with this at all? Is this relevant to you? Any comments?
I just asked Andre, actually, I hope I pronounced that name right, but are you thinking about the ATP testers or a third-party company totally? So maybe if you can just clarify that.
Elaborate on that. Yeah.
Yes, to all of the above. That's what we got response. So,
Scary stuff, guys.
sorry.
Scary stuff. Do you remember the video years ago, the commercial, the hand in my pocket video? Remember the Capital One card when they came out with those? The video hand in my pocket? Listen, there's lots, outsourcing is a great thing, and there's lots of companies that can do things better and less expensively than you. You can also outsource everything, and every time you do, it eats in on your margins. So other people might have different opinions, but I think it's another person trying to put their hand in my pocket. We are perfectly able to handle our own quality control and do it efficiently and financially efficiently better than an outside party. Because if you outsource everything, you have no margins left and you make no money. You're in business to pay everyone else. The credit card companies get 3% as it is.
And Mark, I totally agree with you. And I think we'd have to take a step back and really ask the person who asked this question what your objective is, right? Because if you are looking to set a foundation of like bioorganisms that are left after you're providing certain disinfection services in these days and times, then like Judith said, you can just get ATP test units that are, sub $1,000. There's some of all sorts of different range pricing, and you can satisfy that. And there are companies out there that create like a standard in their cleaning. So if disinfection is a service that you're looking to provide, and to maintain a level of disinfection and bioorganism remaining, then you can create a portal on your website, or even a very simple backlog, or just a report back to your client saying, hey, there was this amount of X organisms found on random testing in your facility. After 2 weeks of testing, we noticed that we did another test and it was X. Our goal is to achieve these levels. Here are some suggested, things that your employees and your staff or you and your home can do to further reduce contaminants in the workplace or something of that sort. So I think your question is a long-winded answer, and I think we'd have to have a better understanding of what your goal is. To have a third-party company come in, I wouldn't see, unless you had a reason for it, I wouldn't see the reason why you just wouldn't do it yourself, like Mark said. ATP test can be found yourself. You can report back on the findings yourself. So I think if you can provide some clarity, you can expect what you don't inspect. Yeah.
Oh, that's just an answer to that question.
Yeah.
To that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Training.
Also, I think in the context of, this is residential cleaning council, but if we're talking about hospitals and you might get inspected by a third party, because that's where I can see, or maybe educational institutions like universities, high schools and things like that. I'm pretty sure that there would be some third parties out there. And then other area where you would get inspected, a question was already asked, getting certified. So when you get certified, yes, then there's a third party who comes in and just reviews. They have a whole list of what they're going to review with you. And it's anything from your HR policies to how are you actually clean, what your processes are and everything. And then everything gets reviewed. So I guess my question would be, is it being mandated at all? I don't think at this point it is. You guys know
Think it is
anything
either,
that
no.
I don't?
No, and I think we're, as ISSA Canada, Worldwide Cleaning Industry Association, and ISSA Residential, we're perfectly capable of setting the bar high. And that's one of the reasons why we're here as a Residential Cleaners Committee, is to set that bar high. The consumer's bar is here. We're working to set a bar here. I will say, when it comes to quality control, one of the biggest things you can do for quality control outside of inspections is to make great training content. And I will say that, Tanya and I and some other members have been working very hard on, not only would I highly recommend taking the professional house cleaner training through ISSA and the home cleaning technician program.
Mhm.
That was a great program.
I would also highly recommend taking the GBAC, so GBAC, which is the Global Biorisk Advisory Council, which is formerly separate from the Worldwide Cleaning Industry Association and now is a part of ISSA. So they have one called a Microbial Warrior, okay? And it's a great course, and it will present cleaning, disinfecting, specifically for COVID-19, to you in a way that's easy to consume. And as well, you will be certified, which helps you when you're going out there. So knowing the scope of what you can do. Now, we'll be having some Hot Topic Tuesdays, like our American counterparts do, coming in the near future. And we have a long list of items from bookkeeping. And one of the things that we will be having one on is training. And Tanya and I have been working on bringing in some great industry professionals that can help us with that. So by training your people cheaply and really, really well, you can create a situation where your quality will go through the roof. We actually were able to improve our quality so much that we actually don't do inspections anymore, and our quality is higher than it used to be. But the training has gotten so much better.
So may I ask you about growth? In these times right now, the way the markets are, the lockdowns, there's so many people out there that are struggling. How do you grow your company, especially now?
I can answer to that a little bit, not answer, but give some ideas. One of the things is networking is not dead. I do understand that, in these Zoom meetings and things like that, it can be taxing, it can be very tiring. There's that, the Zoom fatigue out there. I myself I have a networking group that I go to every week. This can be BNI, this can be just a regular networking group, and it works, whatever works for you. I also, right now, it's a really good time to get into like Better Business Bureau or your chamber or local chamber, because in Calgary, for example, the chamber membership right now is half price. So, and they do a lot of networking events that are online. I myself personally find that the online events are better because I get more face time. And you have to have your elevator speech and things like that. So you need to work on that. You need to present yourself, and you need to put yourself out there. Another way to grow is obviously Google AdWords, depending what you're willing to spend. Your website, your CEO, Mark can talk a lot about that. He's really good at that. And then also some things that I've tried and they actually worked is TV. Because again, it's very cheap, and because I put myself out there, I'm at the chamber, I'm kind of everywhere. That's kind of my goal, that when people, think of cleaning, then they're going to go, oh, Clean Club Calgary. So they approached me, and advertising on TV was so cheap. They actually make your commercial for free. And then it's up to you how you want to run it. And it was really good for brand recognition. So you have to remember that TV is a little bit different because it's not necessarily generating leads for you, but it is a good brand recognition. And then also generated quite a few leads as well. So it was a really good experiment. And I like to say that TV is not dead after all. And right now, a lot of people are watching TV. Michael, you can go to our YouTube channel. You can watch this commercial. It's 15 seconds long. It's so freaking annoying. And in between all those commercials, people actually look up to it because the actress has a very annoying voice. So these are some of the ideas that I can give you guys how to grow. And and then the biggest one, the two gentlemen will talk about this maybe a little bit more, is asking for referrals. Very simple. Very, very
You can
simple.
come back here if you need to. I can't mute. Judith, first of all, you rock. I just want to tell you that. Ever since I have first met you, I have thought you were awesome. And the more I listen to you speak, the more you rock. Now, Judith talked about some, marketing things, right? And that is my forte. I was top 3% worldwide with Coldwell Banker as a real estate salesperson in my 20s. And I did grow this little company in the middle of nowhere to almost 2 million in sales last year. So, and growing national. But what I will say is that mindset is everything. Okay. So like, yes, we'll all assist you with the little details. The ISSA Residential Committee is working on some great Hot Topic Tuesdays for marketing. We're in this together. No more secrets. You know, join ISSA Residential Canada. No more secrets. We will share everything we know. We hope you share with us. But what I want to say is your mindset is everything. So first of all, if you have a scarcity mindset or you have a plentiful mindset. Now, I was lucky enough to grow up. My father brought vinyl and aluminum siding to the east coast of Canada. He had 400 people working in his network. He was a millionaire, self-made, had grade 6 because he done grade 3 twice. And that's what he did. Now, so when I grew up and we drove in the car, Dad would see something and say, you see that sign, son? Do you realize if you just change that a little bit, that's $1 million? You see this mug, son? Do you realize if you just made the perfect little change to that, that's $1 million? So we always grew up with the, now, trust me, we went through our trials and tribulations. He lost his company. We ended up on welfare. I've seen all sides of it, okay? But what I can tell you is this, that if you believe because you grew up that there's no money out there and no one wants your services, you're going to achieve that. So like Henry Ford said, right? If you think you can, you're right. And if you think you can't, you're right. So the first thing is adjust your mindset. Now, keep in mind, the market is shrinking due to less people using household cleaning, right? However, more people are exiting the industry than ever. The fly-by-nights are washing out left, right, and center. There's been no net change. Okay. Now you got to say to yourself, okay, well, how do I want to position myself in the marketplace? Are you a discount company? And don't let anyone tell you there's anything wrong with being a discount company. That is a perfectly acceptable market approach. McDonald's is a discount company. They've done very well. Are you a company like Mr. David Wooler in Ontario, who is a premium company? He offers services that will blow your mind to his people at great rates. You know, where do you position yourself? Decide on where you want to be. Then say to yourself, well, if I was a consumer and I was one of the market who is still hiring professional house cleaners, what would you want? Well, if your first attitude is, well, I'm just going to be cheaper, well, you're going to appeal to the people that value that. And that's okay if that's the road you want to go down. Your margins allow you to do that. But you can say to yourself, hey, well, do I have extra reliability? Are my people better trained? Do I have better equipment? Do I show up on time? What is it that I can offer right now that sets me apart? And here's the thing, guys and gals, there's lots of business out there. The industry in Canada, we don't have the exact stats. Tanya and I talked about that. We're definitely working on getting those stats, but we're thinking about $4 billion is the size of the residential cleaning industry. If that shrunk by 50%, there's still $2 billion there.
Yeah.
So there is work out there, but if being an entrepreneur was easy and being in business was easy, everyone would do it. So rule number one, how to grow in this market is show up.
Yeah.
Every single day. If you have a clean, if you don't have a clean, if you are struggling, you get up every single day, you put your feet on that floor. Trust me, there was days during that pandemic where I wanted to pull those blankets back over and just take them all again. But I said, no, I have responsibility to my family and to myself and to my dreams to put one foot in front of the other. And you know something, that's just rule number one on a more macroeconomic scale.
Yeah.
With regards to the nitty gritty details, what can you do to grow? We got great things coming with our Hot Topic Tuesdays for everybody on that. Specifically, for example, how to use Google, how to use, for example, Fiverr. I can, for $100, create a video with an official spokesperson that can talk about your brand through Fiverr. You can for $50. It's dirt cheap. You do not need to spend a lot of money. The final thing I do want to say, as someone who has got a certain degree of success when it comes to marketing, is consistency.
Yeah.
The reason why I was able to do so well in real estate is, here's real estate. I work really hard. I close lots of houses. Hey, life is wonderful. I've got a $2,000 watch and a $1,000 suit, and I just bought a big car. And hey, I stopped doing all the things that got me those customers. Oh no, I have no customers and I have no money. Well, I better do that again. I better work hard and do that again. Okay. So what happens is that your marketing needs to be consistently applied in good and bad times. And when you get too many customers, then what you do is you still take those people's names and numbers and let them know you're fully booked, but you know some great people like Patrick with Made for Condos that'll be more than happy to assist you. Everybody wins. But
So do you
don't
guys,
stop marketing.
Do you guys utilize a lot of do you see a lot of value in the social media aspect of marketing? Like, do you have a lot of do you receive a lot of value out of that?
It's the only
Is it a
marketing.
channel where to go?
Digital is where it's at.
Absolutely. I
Hey,
agree.
guys. Oh, sorry.
Everything okay with your furnace?
Well, I heard social media and I said, I'm coming back. 'Cause this-
Yeah, Patrick can speak to that for sure.
so I know Judith, you'll have to add to it. Mark, we all do it, right? So, SEO is king right now. So what does SEO mean? Engine optimization, and then also organic placement on the web. So as much content as you can pump out there on the internet that have the keywords that you're trying to do and information about your business, the more you will show up on the internet. So we all know Google AdWords, and I hope we don't do. If you don't, reach out or find out, because if you're not on Google, you're not anywhere really. And so to show up on Google AdWords, you pay, somebody clicks on your thing, and then you pay, right? So the Google shows your ads. But to show up on all those other placements right under those ad placements on Google, those are called organic placements. And so to populate organically on the internet, you have to put out content with keywords in it. So if you don't have a blog today, if you don't use social media, if you don't post things, if you don't create videos on YouTube like Judith does, and if you don't do a lot of SEO and content placement like Mark does or myself does on blogs, you're missing out on free traffic. Part and parcel is social media. Social media is one of the cheapest impression rates that you can get. So if you want an ad and you want eyeballs on your ad, branding placement is good on social media. There's a lot of lead gen tools on social media as well. So if you want direct bookings or people to contact you right now and you want to be able to close the deal, lead gen on social media is awesome. So getting out there and being consistent in your posting and providing content is important. At first, it could be daunting and you might feel overwhelmed and it's like, well, I can't do it. I could have a full-time job putting blog posts and managing social media and all this. But if you set yourself a schedule and you're consistent, you stay on top of it, you will win the war against the robot gods, as I call them, right? And so that's all we're trying to do is satisfy the robot gods.
So here's the thing. Let's look at bookkeeping. So I went to business school. I studied accounting. I worked with what they call CPA or CA firm when I first got out of school. Now I sucked at accounting. I still suck at accounting. And I can think of about 1 billion things I'd rather do than bookkeeping. That's for sure. But I studied that in university because I knew I was bad at it, but I knew it would come in handy when the time came to start my business. Now, I sat down in front of an accountant a few years back, and I had to declare the $90,000 I took out of my company over a 2-year period. And that accountant had told me that I was going to declare it as personal income and blah, blah, blah. And my tax bill was going to be $20,000. But because I had a general working knowledge of accounting, I was able to advise that person to actually take a shareholder's loan to next year, which I don't have to pay back at 2 balance sheet dates, to put it into dividends. But when it was said and done, I paid $900 in tax. Okay. And obviously I fired the accountant. The accountants knew what they were doing. So let's look at digital marketing. So first of all, reliablesoft.net has an SEO course. I would compare it to the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book. They did not say anything in that book that was new, but they put it and conceptualized it in a way that people could digest it. Okay. The average Joe, like Mark Baker, could digest it. And it became an institution. ReliableSoft has created inexpensive courses on SEO and marketing digitally that do the same for you. Now, I took those courses and we pulled back in our digital marketing because we're launching new websites and so on and so forth. And because I now understand the different components of digital marketing, from off-page marketing to on-page to keywords and all the different things, if I choose to hire somebody to assist me, now it just so happens we've opened our own company that's doing that for us and blah, blah, blah. But if I chose to hire someone to do that for us, it's because it makes sense for me to outsource them. And I do what I do best and they do what they do best, but I know about it. Now, if you choose and you want to grow your business, if you choose to stick your head in the sand like an ostrich and not learn about digital marketing, that would be the same as choosing not to become
Good
financial.
morning, everybody. It's Juliana. It is Tuesday, February the 9th, 2020.
That'd be the same as choosing to be financially irresponsible. So, for example, there's lots of business owners that are great at making money, right? But they're still financially irresponsible and they don't understand why they're not getting ahead. I know because I was one of those people. My way of dealing with money was try to make more. So there came a point in my business life where I had to sit down and become very financially responsible, both personally and professionally. And it made the difference in my company. And the pandemic is what made that happen, as Tanya knows well, because we discussed it at great length.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You have to become digitally responsible.
Yeah.
Now, trust me, it's not as painful as you think. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. If you're not, and I know there's so much out there, it can be stressful, but like all good things, one thing at a time, first things first. Go to reliablesoft.net. I don't get any money for saying this. I do it because I find them to be great. Check out their course and try to educate yourself a bit at a time. Now, here's what I do. I get a
Well,
4
we
o'clock
only
every
have
morning.
5 minutes, Mark, so I'm sorry I have to
no,
cut you off.
no,
I
cut me off.
apologize.
It's an important topic.
Yeah, it is an important topic indeed. But one more question, guys, before we wrap it up here, if you could just, with regards to hiring people, do you guys use any specific channels, avenues, like your Indeeds, online ads? How do
Indeed
you,
is best.
what avenues do you utilize?
I'll put in my 10 seconds and Judith.
Thank you.
So for us, we've learned from the get-go in this industry, you have to have your hiring engines and your attraction tools on at all times. So whether you need staff today or you don't, have your online marketing for job ads on at all times. Have more people than you need coming through your door and asking you for jobs. Of course, there's a lot of things for the attraction, total compensation, yada, yada. There's a lot of things, but have those tools on. So I'll let Judith talk to avenues, but you know, all the typical avenues, the Kijijis, your website, you know, and using other portals. There's a lot of free ways to do it. And there's a lot of cost ways to do it, just like the same way you would approach digital marketing. But I'll pass that over to Judith for to touch on.
Mark had mentioned it too. For us, Indeed works the best. I tried Kijiji. I tried Facebook jobs as well. And sorry, it just garbage came through. And then also, I talked to my team members when we're hiring. We have our ad up all the time, just like Patrick had mentioned, but we're just not as big to be constantly hiring yet. So I just try to talk to my team members, and if they have somebody good that they can refer, we have a referral bonus for that. Obviously, they only get it after the person had passed their probationary period, which is Alberta is 3 months. So yeah, so these are some of the avenues where we look at.
That's definitely a topic for Hot Topic Tuesday. Without question, we will be addressing that. That requires an individual session that's well planned out that we can present to you and share what's worked for us and what's failed for us. And then you can share with us as well.
Absolutely.
And then Tanya, do you want to fill in our guests as to how often we're going to do the coffee talks?
I'm just, that was in the wrap-up speech, Judith. It was. Thank you.
Be ready with the questions, and you know, and feel free to reach out. Otherwise,
absolutely.
You guys see where we're from, and just Google Clean Club Calgary. Hey, Google works.
Yep.
And I can answer any questions.
Never say that out loud. You just set off my phone. Just kidding.
No, we're hoping to host this forum monthly. If you go to issa-canada.com under the ISSA Residential Council tab under the ISSA menu item, there's a host of information there. There's a recording from our webinar during the ISSA Show North America posted in there that you can watch. This session here will be posted up in there eventually as well. And again, we hope that you will join us again next month. I believe it's March the 9th, Tuesday. same time, same place. And thank you very much for joining us today. Have a great day.
Take care, Cleaning
Thank you.
Nation.